Even in the government markets, GSEC market, some buoyancy came up when banks also became as traders. So ultimately liquidity will come when you are going to have more and more number of traders. So that is one issue which we need to flag, and I am sure we would have discussed it also in the various forums, that how do we get more traders to work into this area of markets. And I'll also take up some time here that this can come, like Mr. Bansal had said, there is an issue of market bond finance versus bank finance. So you can finance by way of bonds, or you can finance by way of the bank financing. So either of the two. But the problem here in India is that yes, bank finance is more preferable, and naturally banks want to take up much more because of the mark to market and other issues which he has already summed up and told us on it. Whereas bonds, he has to do mark to market, he has to check up all those things. So that is why there is always an issue. So we need to do structurally something there on that in order to be able to have banks also coming out into that area more and more. Another thing, problem with the bank financing will be naturally exposure limits. See, if I am putting in my own money as a personal or as an individual, he is putting in money. He may, if he is convinced of a certain area, he will like to put more money into that particular area or into that particular segment or sector. But if, as an institution, we would like to have certain norms, and we may say, okay, I'll put only say 15% only in power segment or in any industry. So the, per se, we will have to have some exposure norms, which will again going to impact the liquidity in the debt markets. Again, I would like to add, Mr. Bansal Singh, also that retail bond markets, see, IDBI as an institution has been one of the first to really bring about and build the retail bond markets by way of flexi bonds. We did it by quite 20 years back. So I think we need to do that also, that in terms of building up the liquidity and creating more number of players in the market, whether they are buyers or whether they are sellers. These need to be there more and more. Globally, of course, the picture is little different, that yes, they are more active. They do play a very important role, the debt markets, in channelizing and mobilizing the funds. But the thing is, even there, I think the situation is not that great, as Mr. Srinivasan told us, that there are problems, there are issues somewhere. But here we are also progressing in some part in that. Another benefit of having liquidity in the markets, all this improved market, will be the price discovery. The more liquidity you have, the naturally you will get a much better price. If you buy a product which is available everywhere, naturally you are going to have a price which is very near the markets. But if it is available only at a few places, or the market is structured, or the market is off OTC, or it is off market or others transactions, then naturally your price is the kind of an issue. You may not get the right one. And this will also, see, this liquidity will also give us the missing yield curve. Today the yield curve which we get in our corporate bonds is what? Basically it's a derived yield curve from the government securities market. The government, and by just adding certain spreads based on the non-get securities. But ideally we should have a market which is built, or a yield curve which is built by trading in that market, by trading in that corporate bond markets. So we need to really build and have this kind of a market which can support us in terms of even the GSEC markets. In fact, it should be the other way around, that it should support us even in the GSEC markets also this time. But liquidity will definitely give us a yield, this benefit. However, the question of liquidity again continues to remain. I think that is the solution we have to look for and finding out. Now some other issue is, on the liquidity side, another issue will be coming in terms of government debt. I think we have had a lot of discussions, I am sure in all the four sessions, about government debt, whether it is crowding out the corporate sector. Government debt, in a growing economy, if you see theoretically, in any growing economy, naturally the funds will be required both by the government sector as well as by the corporate sector. Both will require the funds, but because of the certain inherent advantages of the government sector, you find that yes, and if they are going to preempt more and more, there will always be a problem of debt availability to the corporate sector. There will be a pressure on the interest rates on what is available to the corporate sector because of this. However, in India, the governments again are trying to maybe reduce the borrowings or try to do as per the FRBM. We are trying to see that yes, we don't have that kind of a deficit, or the borrowings are reduced. But internationally, we have also seen certain things that the government have been borrowing much larger amounts and creating an issue in itself. So this issue, I think we have to debate, and maybe it is at the, not only just at the corporate bond market level, but it is also at the governmental level.